used my patterns to cut my 3 pieces. I have my main piece of fabric, and this is the same front and back. This is off of vintage tablecloth. And I have a piece of batting that I've already fused down to the lining fabric. And I have marked the centers of those, folded them in half, and on your pattern it has a little notch in it, and pin those together. Now I'm going to go stitch them. You can use either a rotary cutter or a pair of scissors to cut. This little piece is going to be the strap off of the edge, and so I'm going to go to my sewing machine, get the camera set up, and join me there. The first thing I'm going to do is I've got everything pinned in place, and I've secured the pins in a couple of different areas. I'm going to go ahead, and this is probably really not necessary, but about half a presser foot width. I'm going to stitch across the top and the bottom, and that'll keep it from shifting on me when I go down the sides. And I'm going to turn this over. Since this is older fabric, it's a little bit stretchier. I'm going to turn this over so the feed dogs will kind of pull that back into place on its own. So let me see if this is going to work like I think. So what this does is the feed dogs kind of help this from being puckery on this side, if puckery is a word. Having puckers in it. And this is the lining side, this is inside. Alright, so this is what this is going to look like when it's put together, like that. Alright, so then my next step is going to be, well, I'm going to trim off these threads, all my extra threads. The next step is I'm going to go to the ironing board, and I'm going to measure down 1/4 inch and press, and then 1 1/4 inches. So this whole thing turns down 1.5 inches. That should be right at the edge of that batting, and then this is going to turn under like that, and that's going to be the holder for your little piece of tape measure. So I'm going to go to the ironing board, and I'll be back in just a second. I used my metal shears to cut the 5-inch pieces of metal tape measure, and I want to go ahead and just like round off these corners so that they don't pierce into the fabric, or worse yet, end up cutting. You know, if you have a little person that's going to use this bag, you don't want sharp edges. And so I'm just going to nip off these corners, round them off. So now they're not sharp, they're rounded. The next step is to slide the tape measure with the curved side, lettered side, curved side to the top, the lettered side to the inside. So then it will snap like that. Okay? So curved side to the outside of the bag, and the letter side to what's going to be the inside of the bag. Now, to keep this in place, to keep me from stitching over it for the next step, I'm going to go ahead and put just a couple of pins in here so that this is not going to shift on me. And I probably actually only need to do one end at a time, but that's okay, so you'll get the idea. So I can feel the tape measure in there, feel where it's at. There we go. And I forgot to bring the tab to the sewing machine, and that's the next step. So I'm going to step away for just a second and get my tab, my strap. Okay. And with the little strap, it doesn't matter whether it goes on the top or the bottom or right or left. I mean, that's up to you if it's important to you which side that goes on. And so I'm going to center that up in the middle of this little area Pull my sewing machine back over here. And go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and stitch this in place, and then it's there. I don't have to worry about it shifting on me while I stitch the sides, because we're almost done. Keep those fingers out of the way. We're going to do a little back stitch. There we go. And so that's in place. I can take that pin out now because that tape measure is not fixing to shift on me. Okay, well, our tab is in place. So next we want to fold this up, match the edges, still making sure that that tape measure is out of the way. I really want to make sure I've got that top edge matched right there, and pull this down in place. Put a couple of pins in here. Now I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam on this, and I'll repeat it over on this side, but just for this minute I'm just going to just pin that one side and then show you, and then I'll repeat that. So being careful, I'm going to go ahead and scoot in just a little bit, make sure I've got a 1/4 inch seam, make sure the tape measure's out of the way, stitch in. I'm going to do about 3 stitches forward, and then I'll come back. Oops. I'm going to do about 3 stitches forward, take that pin out, back up, a little back stitch, and do it again. And I want to do a back stitch at the bottom side of it. Alright? And I'm going to repeat that on the other side. And so just to look and see, I've got a good match right there at the top. So one more time, scoot those tape measures down. I can slide those down now out of my way. Give it a pin right here at the top to match those edges. And one more at the bottom, pull that kind of any extra fullness out of there. Pin it at the bottom. Scoot in about, make sure I'm at a 1/4 inch of the width of my presser foot. I'm going to do about about 3 stitches in. Go ahead and pull that pin out. Now back stitch to the edge. And here we go. And to finish this, I want to do a zigzag stitch, and it looks like I'm out of bobbin. So let me fill my bobbin, and I'll be back. Okay, so I've stitched both sides at a 1/4 inch, but on this side, and I'm going to do this on the other one, I want to trim this off, and then I'm going to zigzag it. So I've got some nice sharp scissors, and you could use a rotary cutter if you want to. And I'm just going to trim along basically that first little edge of stitching that we did. And I've set my zigzag to about a 5 width, and shorten the stitch just a little bit. Everything trimmed and stitched with a little straight stitch and a zigzag stitch, and now it is ready to turn right side out. It's going to sound like it's breaking, but it's not. So I'm going to put my thumb down in that corner, push that corner out to a point, do the same thing, push that, ready, and turn it. And there we are. There is that cute little bag. Now, I have a collection of red vintage buttons, and I may put a couple of little buttons on there or on that side, but I'm actually pretty happy with it just exactly the way that it is. So there's your Snappy, your Scrappy Snappy bag, your Snappy Scrappy bag. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.